I am going to take you through 30 incredible stories of celebrities who have used their platform to change the conversation around disability. Let's start with Colin Farrell. You see him as a tough guy on screen, but his heart belongs to his son James, who has Angelman syndrome. It is a rare genetic disorder affecting the nervous system. Colin has been incredibly open about the tears he shed when James took his first steps, a milestone that doctors were not sure he would ever reach. He has become a massive advocate, showing the world that different does not mean less. Then there is the beloved Brendan Fraser. His comeback has been the feel-good story of the decade, but his real inspiration is his son Griffin, who is on the autism spectrum. Brendan has spoken so movingly about Griffin's unique perspective, describing him as the happiest person he knows who is completely incapable of irony or cynicism. It is clear that Griffin is the guiding light in Brendan's life. Grey's Anatomy star Caterina Scorsone plays a doctor on TV, but her real education came from her daughter Pippa, who has Down syndrome. Caterina has beautifully described how Pippa redefined her concept of motherhood, moving away from competitive milestones to simply loving her child's essence. She fights hard against the stereotypes that limit what people think children with Down syndrome can achieve. Sylvester Stallone is another icon who faced a diagnosis within his family. His son Sergio was diagnosed with autism at a young age. Sly has been quiet but protective, calling his son a silent genius and ensuring he has the privacy and care he needs away from the Hollywood chaos. We also have to talk about John Travolta and the late Kelly Preston. Their son Jett, who tragically passed away, had autism and a history of seizures. They kept much of his life private, but after his passing, they opened up to help others understand the deep bond and the specific medical challenges they faced, leaving a legacy of awareness in Jett's name. Toni Braxton has been a vocal powerhouse regarding her son Diesel. Diagnosed with autism early on, Toni refused to accept limitations. She became a fierce advocate for early intervention, and today, Diesel has made incredible progress, even starting a modeling career. She wants parents to know that a diagnosis is just the beginning of the journey, not the end. Holly Robinson, Pete, is practically royalty in the autism advocacy world. Her son RJ was diagnosed at age 3, and doctors gave her a bleak outlook. She did not listen. She started the Holly Rod Foundation and has spent years providing resources to families. RJ is now working and thriving, proving those initial doctors wrong. Jenny McCarthy is perhaps one of the most loud voices when it comes to her son Evan. Regardless of where you stand on her views, there's no denying she put the conversation about autism on the map for millions of parents who felt ignored. She has dedicated her life to finding answers for Evan. Denise Richards adopted her daughter Eloise, who has a rare chromosomal disorder called monosomy 8p. It affects her speech and development, but Denise handles it with such grace. She has shared the heartbreak and the joy of raising a child who may not hit typical milestones, but brings immense love into the home. Gary Cole, known for his stern character roles, has a daughter named Mary with autism. He is a huge proponent of seeking help and not trying to do it all alone. He has spoken about the importance of finding a community because the isolation can be the hardest part for parents. Criminal Minds star Joe Mantegna has a daughter, Mia, with autism. He has always focused on her strengths rather than her deficits. Mia now works in the makeup industry and appears with her dad, showing that adults with autism have a vital place in the workforce. Aidan Quinn is another actor who stepped away from the limelight to focus on his daughter Ava, who has autism. He has been very candid about the struggles and the need for more research, using his fame to push for better understanding and support systems. Greg Grunberg, who you might know from Heroes, is a crusader for epilepsy awareness. His son Jake has epilepsy, and Greg actually started a website called Talk About It to get people discussing seizures without shame. He wants to make sure no kid feels embarrassed about their condition. Christopher Gorham from Ugly Betty has a son, Lucas, with Usher syndrome, which affects both hearing and vision. Christopher maintains a positive but realistic outlook, constantly adapting as a family to ensure Lucas has every opportunity to succeed despite the sensory challenges. Laura San Giacomo has a son, Mason, with cerebral palsy. She has been a fierce advocate for inclusive education, arguing that children with disabilities belong in classrooms with their peers. She believes that inclusion benefits all children, not just those with special needs. Tisha Campbell has also walked this path. Her son Zen has autism, and she produced a film called Colored My Mind to address the disparity in diagnoses for African American children. She is fighting to make sure that families of color get the same resources and attention as everyone else. Boys II Men singer Sean Stockman has a son, Micah, with autism. Sean has opened up about the initial grief of the diagnosis, a feeling many parents are ashamed to admit. He validates that feeling, reminding parents it is okay to mourn the life you thought you would have, so you can embrace the life you do have. NFL legend Dan Marino is a hero on the field, but his greatest play is the Dan Marino Foundation. After his son Michael was diagnosed with autism, Dan raised millions to build a center that provides state-of-the-art care and job training for young adults with developmental disabilities. Another football great, Doug Flutie, has a son, Doug Jr., with autism. The Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation has been a lifeline for thousands of families, providing grants for everything from iPads to summer camps, things that insurance often refuses to cover. Katie Price in the UK has lived her life in the tabloids, but her dedication to her son Harvey is undeniable. Harvey has Prader-Willi syndrome, autism, and blindness. Katie has fought for him publicly, even taking on internet trolls and pushing for laws to make online abuse a crime. British actress Sally Phillips made a documentary about her son Ollie, who has Down syndrome. She challenged the idea that we should screen out these pregnancies, asking instead why we do not value the joy and perspective people with Down syndrome bring to the world. Sarah Palin, regardless of politics, put a spotlight on Down syndrome when she gave birth to her son Trig while in office. She showed the world that a family can hold high-pressure jobs and still lovingly raise a child with special needs, normalizing their presence in the public eye. Mia Farrow is a veteran of this journey. She adopted several children with special needs, including her son Thaddeus, who had polio and was a paraplegic. She has always advocated that love and resources can transform the life of a child that society might otherwise overlook. Joey Fatone, best known as the baritone of NSYNC, has a daughter named Chloe, who is on the autism spectrum. Joey has been incredibly candid about the challenges of early diagnosis and the importance of flexibility in parenting. Scrubs actor John C. McGinley has a son, Max, with Down syndrome. John is deeply involved with the Global Down Syndrome Foundation. He talks about how Max stripped away his ego and taught him what it actually means to be a father and a man. Baseball superstar Albert Pujol has a daughter, Bella, with Down syndrome. He calls her his treasure and uses his foundation to serve people with Down syndrome, emphasizing that they are a blessing to be celebrated, not a burden to be managed. Country singer Rory Feek shares his life with his daughter Indiana, who has Down syndrome. After his wife Joey passed away, Rory has raised Indy as a single dad, sharing their quiet, rural life and showing the pure joy she brings to everyone she meets. Model Amanda Booth is changing the face of fashion with her son Micah, who has Down syndrome and autism. She got him into modeling, proving that beauty comes in all forms and that representation in magazines matters for kids who rarely see themselves reflected there. Robert De Niro, a man of few words, revealed that his son Elliot has autism. He famously championed a controversial film because he wanted to open up the discussion on causes and treatments, showing that even the most private stars wrestle with the heavy questions of how to best help their kids. Finally, there is Lisa Gungor of the band Gungor. When her daughter Lucy was born with Down syndrome, Lisa wrote a book about the initial struggle, to accept the diagnosis and the beautiful reconstruction of her faith and worldview that followed. These 30 people remind us that disability does not discriminate based on fame or fortune. They deal with the same IEP meetings, the same doctor appointments, and the same worries about the future as any other parent. But by sharing their stories, they are making the world a little less lonely for the rest of us. Which of these stories resonated with you the most? Let me know in the comments below.